What is up, everybody? Craig Severson here, and I am really excited because we are about to dive into how to use content to drive leads. And we're going to do it using a process I call mini campaigns, which are basically 2-week cycles for your content. It's amazingly effective. It works really well for driving interest and getting people to raise their hands, and turns organic lead generation into almost an inbound marketing activity, which means that people are coming to you. You're not having to start all of these like cold conversations or anything like that. So if you're new here, make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button. And what you're about to see is actually a presentation I gave, a full-fledged webinar on this topic. And it goes way in depth. So I didn't want to like re-record something because it's all here and it's all really, really good. But I wanted to just let you know what you're about to see. It is definitely a webinar, pre-recorded, and so don't expect to be able to answer any questions or anything like that. All right, let's dive into it. It's going to be really good. Let's go. What's up, everybody? We're going to talk about leveraging social media and creating lead generation content using what we call mini campaigns. So I'm going to make myself smaller, and what we're going to do is I'm going to describe to you how to use a mini campaign, the types of posts that you should be creating, and then I'm going to give you a tool you can use to batch create this content so that you can just do one session a month where you actually create your content, and then you can just implement without having to like spend all your time creating content. So I'm going to make myself nice and small here to the side. I'm going to walk you through this presentation really quickly. So what we want to do is break your social media content into what we call mini campaigns. So what does this actually mean? It means that we're going to be building content to revolve around 2-week cycles. And that's why we call it a mini campaign, because this isn't like a year-long or month-long. It is a 2-week cycle. So what we're going to talk about really quickly are the 5 essential types of content that we're going to use in these 2-week cycles. And then I'm actually going to show you my actual content creation process and the template I use to do that. So before we dive in, what I really want to kind of knock home for you is that this should be, and this is bugging me, it's like it should be centered, but it doesn't look centered, does it? But I want you to think about this as tools in your toolbox, not scripts, not a formula, because scripts and formulas don't really work. People purchase from you, because of your brand voice. So I want you to take this as tools in your toolbox, not as scripts, not as formulas. Implement this with your own style, your own voice, your own flavor. Okay, so here are the 5 different types of posts that you should be using. Okay, the first one is a question post. Okay, so sometimes I'll call this a color block post, because on Facebook you can use those block posts with just the color in the background. So the color block post. But really the purpose of this is to get engagement and to collect market research. So we're going to ask questions around the subject that we're building up to, around whatever it is we're talking about. And it serves 2 purposes. One is to warm up our algorithm, to get engagement, to get a conversation going. But 2, we also get to pull out all the language that our clients are using around a certain subject. So we get to do temperature taking, real-time market research, which is awesome. So let me give you some examples, right? So this could be like an opinion poll. This could be us versus them, or this versus that. It could be a hypothetical, right? But we're just asking a question and then letting them engage on it. So let me give you an example here. You're on a sales call, video or audio only. Okay, so what does this tell me? It tells me how people are engaging on sales calls, right? You see, I've got 78 comments on this post. This was really cool because who answers this post? Who's going to answer that question? People who are getting on sales calls. So it tells me that these are active entrepreneurs. So 1, I'm engaging an audience that I really want to talk to. And 2, they're giving me information about how they like to have sales calls, which I could either turn around then and use whatever's popular, or I can use the language that they're using to reflect back to them in my marketing. So that is the question post. The next one is the value post, right? So the purpose of the value post is to indoctrinate, to educate, and to inspire people around the problem, pain, or solution, and also about you, right? Value is created in action. So we want to inspire action, taking action. Right? So we want to talk about the problem, the pain, the solution, and you, and inspire them to take action around one of those things. So here's some examples. Top 5 tips for blank results. common mistakes people face, or even just education around your proprietary system and how you approach getting the results that you get, right? So here's an example. Live training, how I consistently land high-end clients on Facebook and LinkedIn with zero ad spend, right? So this was a video I did, and I was providing value about how to land high-end clients on Facebook and LinkedIn without spending money on ads, right? A lot of value there provided because I was walking them through how to do something. Okay, the next one, results posts, right? This is how you build authority, right? Because we're going to position you as the authority by talking about results you have either gotten yourself or you've helped your clients get, right? So the purpose here is to inspire and motivate to a new thought process or identity. What does that mean? We're using results to help them think about themselves differently, to imagine new possibilities for themselves, and to, again, we're trying to get them to take action around becoming something different, in embracing a new identity for themselves, right? So here's some examples: client success or a story, a gratitude or reflection post, right? I'm so grateful I accomplished XYZ. I never thought I would, that sort of thing. And a recap post, which is kind of similar to a gratitude or reflection post, but it's kind of like, hey, here's what I've done this week, this month, this year. Oh, I'm so excited. Let's keep going, right? Those types of things. So here is a example. My clients and I have closed $90,000 in the last week and a half, and I was on vacation. And then I just talked about gratitude about how I took a vacation, and me and my clients did almost $100,000, in 1 week, right? Cool stuff. Okay, the fourth type of post is the invitation post. This is where we actually want to invite people to take action, right? We've been building up to action. This is where we actually invite them to do that action. So the purpose is to get them to raise hand and start a conversation. And there's a difference between a soft invitation and a hard invitation. A soft invitation is when you invite them to start a conversation by giving a gift or giving something away. So for instance, giving a PDF away, right? I've got a PDF that teaches you how to do X thing. Who's interested in that? Versus a hard invitation is, this is my offer. Who wants to learn more, or who would be interested in it, right? So here's an example. Get free tools, attend a free training, or straight up offer to explore your services. So here are two different examples. So the first one, do you want my blueprint for making 100K in 90 days? This is what work looks like today. And I told a little story about how I was watching my son and working on this presentation, right? But the offer is, do you want my blueprint? Soft offer. The other one, putting finishing touches on a case study. So I'm offering a case study. If you want to see the report, drop a comment. I like to add photos to these because it helps it pop out in the feed, right? So just a little side note there about photos. And then the last type of post is what we call the backstage pass. Now, these are different than the other posts because, this is like letting people backstage in your world to talk about your lifestyle, to learn more about you. The whole point is to grow your KLT factor, prove out your process, that your model is successful, and show your day-to-day as a business owner. Like, this is, using social media for its intended purpose of like building relationships, right? And so what's different about Backstage Pass compared to the other ones is we're going to use the other ones strategically and one a day or so to kind of build pressure around our offer. The Backstage Pass, you should be doing every single day. So you should, maybe 2 posts a day, one of the other ones, and then a Backstage Pass post every single day. Like, this is your bread and butter. You're constantly doing Backstage Pass because it's the fun part of social media, right? So here's some examples. You can do a snapshot of an activity, insight from a client, observation, humor, or just for fun. Here's some examples, right? Basically, I was creating a presentation. I said, oh my goodness, this is pure fire. Here's my process that I'm doing. This is what I'm working on. Here's a backstage pass, a sneak peek of me working on something, right? Okay, so those are our 5 types of content: question, value, results, invitation, and backstage pass. Now let's talk about how you can use those to actually drive leads, right? So how do you run your mini campaign? And what I want you to think about is your mini campaign is a lot like using a GPS. You start with the end in mind. You put in the address, and then the GPS finds the pathway to it. we're going to do the same thing with your mini campaign. We're going to start with the invitation, and then we're going to build up the pressure to that invitation. So, I said pressure because think about it like a pressure cooker, right? The pressure builds, 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 builds. Your invitation, your offer is like lifting the release valve and letting the pressure all come out. We're building desire to take action around your offer. Okay. So here's an example mini campaign. This was 2 weeks. It went from a Tuesday to a Wednesday. I didn't do any weekend posts. And then every day I also did regular Backstage Pass posts. So I did these posts on top of just Backstage Pass stuff that I was doing pretty much daily, right? So number one, I did a value post, right? 3 major problems with social media marketing and how to fix them. So long post, providing a lot of value. Day number 2, asked a question. In your opinion, what's the goal of creating content? Engagement or sales, right? So this was to fill a content masterclass about using content to drive leads. It's basically this presentation that I'm pulling from. And so I wanted to know what was their, this gave me 2 reasons, right? One is that it engaged them, right? Got them, my algorithm hot for the rest of my mini campaign, but also I got to pull out of this the words that they were using to describe content. I'm wanting them to come to a content masterclass, right? That's going to be my invitation. That's going to be my offer. Are they talking about engagement or are they talking about sales? Which is more important to them? And if I know the answer to that, then I can skew the rest of my content towards that result to get more engagement from them later on, right? So double duty on these question posts. It's always double duty, engagement and market research. Okay, number 3, I did another value post, right? 5 mindset shifts to take your content from meh to holy flaming flame balls, right? So I have a little bit of fun with this. Again, your value posts don't typically get as much engagement, but they do get read. So don't be, look, here I've got 23 comments on that one. It doesn't say on the other one. This one had 2 comments. Don't get all upset that your comment or that your likes or whatever drop on these. People are seeing them. They just don't, it's not as inviting as like a question post or a color block post. Okay, so we went value, question, value. Now it's time for a soft invitation. Who hasn't seen my content creation strategy? I'm hosting a call next week about how I use this. And if you want to see it, drop me a link and I'll hook you up, right? So soft invitation right there. Next, I did a results post. In the last week, I've generated 75 plus leads and filled a masterclass only through 3 posts on Facebook, right? So here's some results. I'm proving out that I have expertise around this subject. Next, I went back to a question post. True or false? The biggest challenge when using Facebook or LinkedIn for business is creating engaging content. Okay, so this one, again, remember I say double duty, right? So this one, it leads them to say just true or false. I always like to follow up in the comments. Okay, why true? Why false? Because I want to pull out of them that language they're using so that I can be better in my marketing. And then finally, I ended with a hard invitation. Hey, tomorrow is the masterclass. Who's on board? Look, it's really clear. All caps there, stars around it, invitation to social media content creation masterclass, right? Really, really, really upfront. And then the day of, I actually did, here's another bonus one, last chance post. Last chance is today at 2:00. I got a few more people on because of that. Okay, so that's the idea behind a mini campaign. We start with the invitation in mind, and we use 2 weeks to build up to the invitation, and then we just reset and cycle through it again. And we could do these 2-week cycles of mini campaigns around a certain topic, right? All with the backstage passes always going on. And that's how you use content to drive leads into your business. And hope that was helpful. Until next time, take some fast, focus, and perfect action. We'll talk soon. See ya.